Blind man, still pretending you have no eyes? If you are really blind, you should not know this either. He stopped, his hand moving towards the bowl. The dog sprang on him and snapped his jaws on his wrist. The boy extricated his hand and ran for his life. The dog bounded up behind him and chased him out of the market. ಅವನು ಹತ್ರ ಬಂದಾಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ನಾಯಿ ಅವನನ್ನು ಓಡಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಇಂದ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಓಡಿಸ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ನಾಯಿ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ನನ್ನ ಯಜಮಾನನಿಗೆ ಇವನು ಟಾರ್ಚರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅವನ ಹತ್ರ ಬಂದು ಅವನಿಗೆ ಟಾರ್ಚರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ನಾಯಿ ಅವನನ್ನು ಅಟ್ಟಾಡಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಓಡಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. See the mongrel's affection for this old fellow, marveled the perfume vendor. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪರ್ಫ್ಯೂಮ್ ಮಾರಾಟ ಮಾಡೋನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ, ನೋಡಪ್ಪ ನಾಯಿ ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ನಿಯತ್ತಾಗಿದೆ ಆ ಕುರುಡನಿಗೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿತ್ತು. One evening at the usual time, the old woman failed to turn up and the blind man waited at the gate. Worrying as the evening grew into night, as he sat fretting there, a neighbor came up and said, Sami, don't wait for the old woman. She will not come again. She died this afternoon. ಆ ಕುರುಡ ತನ್ನನ್ನು ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಹೆಂಗ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತಲ್ವ, ಅಜ್ಜಿ ಕಾಯ್ತಿರ್ತಾನೆ. ಆವಾಗ ಒಬ್ನು ಬಂದು ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ, ನೋಡಪ್ಪ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ, ಕಾಯಕ್ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಡ, ನಿನ್ ಅಜ್ಜಿ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಿದ್ದಲ್ವಾ, ಅವಳು ಸತ್ತೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಲು ಮಧ್ಯಾಹ್ನ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. The blind man lost the only home he had and the only person who cared for him in this world. The ribbon vendor suggested, Here, take this white tape. He held a length of the white cord which he had been selling. I will give this to you free of cost. Tie it to the dog and let him lead you about if he is really so fond of you. ನೋಡಪ್ಪ, ನಿನಗೀಗ ಮನೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾರೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಟೇಪ್ ಮಾರೋನು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ತಗೋ ಈ ಬಿಳಿ ಬಣ್ಣ ಟೇಪ್ ತಗೋ, ಈ ಟೇಪ್ ನಾಯಿ ಕೊರಳಿಗೆ ಕಟ್ಟು, ನಾಯಿ ನಿನ್ನ ಮನೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಈಗ ನಿನಗೆ ನಾಯಿನೇ ಗತಿ ನಿನಗೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. Life for the dog took a new turn now. He came to take the place of the old woman. He lost his freedom completely. His world came to be circumscribed by the limits of the white cord which the ribbon vendor had spared. He had to forget wholesale of all his old life, all his old haunts. He simply had to stay on forever at the end of that string. When he saw other dogs, friends or foes, instinctively he sprang up, tugging the string, and his invariably earned him a kick from his master. Rascal, want to tumble me down? Have sense. In a few days, the dog learned to discipline his instinct and impulse. He ceased to take notice of other dogs, even if they came up and growled at his side. He lost his own orbit of movement and contact with his fellow creatures. ನಿಧಾನವಾಗಿ ನಾಯಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ಆ ಕುರುಡನ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ತನ್ನ ಜೀವನವನ್ನ ಸೆಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅವನ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಹೋಗೋದು, ಅವನ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಬರೋದು. ನಾಯಿ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ತಪ್ಪು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಈ ಕುರುಡ ನಾಯಿಯನ್ನು ಬೈತಾ ಇದ್ದ, ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಹೊಂದಾಣಿಕೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಜೀವನ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ನಾಯಿ ಕೂಡ ಬೇರೆ ನಾಯಿ ತರ ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ ಅಲಿಯೋದನ್ನ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಆ ಕುರುಡನ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಹೋಗೋದು, ಬರೋದು, ಜೀವನ ನಡೆಸೋದು, ಈ ರೀತಿ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. To the extent of this loss his master gained, he moved about as he had never moved in his life. All day he was on his legs, led by the dog. With the staff in one hand and the dog lead in the other, he moved out of his home, a corner in a chowtry veranda a few yards of the market. He had moved in there after the old woman's death. He started out early in the day. He found that he could treble his income by moving about instead of staying in one place. He moved down the Chowtry street and wherever he heard people's voices, he stopped and held out his hands for alms. Shops, schools, hospitals, hotels, he left nothing out. He gave a tug when he wanted the dog to stop and shouted like a bullock driver when he wanted him to move on. The dog protected his feet from going into pits or stumping against steps or stones and took him up inch by inch on safe ground and steps. For this sight, people gave coins and helped him. Children gathered round him and gave him things to eat. A dog is essentially an active creature who punctuates his hectic rounds with well-defined periods of rest. But now this dog had lost all rest. He had rest only when the old man sat down somewhere. At nights, the old man slept with the cord turned around his finger. I can't take chances with you, he said. A great desire to earn more money than ever before seized his master, so that he felt any resting a waste of opportunity. And the dog had to be continuously on his feet. Sometimes his legs refused to move, but if he slowed down even slightly, his master goaded him on fiercely with his staff. The dog whined and groaned under this thrust. Don't whine, you rascal. Don't I give you your food? You want to loaf, do you? Swore the blind man. The dog lumbered up and down and round the marketplace on slow steps, tied down to the blind tyrant. Long after traffic at the market ceased, you could hear the night stabbed by the far off wail of the tired dog. It lost its original appearance as months rolled on, bones stuck up with his haunches, and drips were relieved through his fading coat. ನಾಯಿಗೂ ಆ ಕುರುಡನಿಗೂ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಸಂಬಂಧ ಶುರು ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಕುರುಡ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾಯಿಯನ್ನು ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಿರ್ತಾನೆ. ನಾಯಿಯನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾಯಿಯನ್ನು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ತನ್ನ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲೇ ಕಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾನೆ. ಅದರ ಹಗ್ಗವನ್ನ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾನೆ. ನಾಯಿ ಇವನ್ ಮಲಗಿದ್ರೆ ನಾಯಿ ಮಲಗಬೇಕು, ಇವನಿದ್ರೆ ನಾಯಿ ಎದ್ದೇಳ್ಬೇಕು, ಇವನು ಹೋದ್ರೆ ನಾಯಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಇವನ್ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ನಾಯಿ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಈ ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂತ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ನಾಯಿಯನ್ನು ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ. ನಾಯಿಗೆ ಒಂಥರ ಬೇಜಾರು ಶುರು ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇವನೇನು ನನಗೆ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ನಾಯಿ ಏನಾರು ತಪ್ಪಾಡ ನಾಯಿ ಬೈತಿರ್ತಾನೆ, ನಿನಗೇನು ಊಟ ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ ನಾನು, ನಿನಗೆ ಕೇಳಿದಿಲ್ಲ ಕೊಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ ನಾನು, ತಿನ್ಸಲ್ಲ ನಾನು, ರಾಸ್ಕಲ್ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಕೇಳ್ಬೇಕು, ನೀನು ನನ್ನ ಜೊತೆಗಿರು ನೀನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾಯಿಗೆ ಬೈತಾ ಇರ್ತಾನೆ.